I'm shooting my kid's soccer game and everything's out of focus, everything's blurry. Well, it's because your shutter speed's not fast enough. Okay, so we can talk about that. And the other thing is f-stop or aperture, which we talked about earlier. And those three things, number 4, 5, and 6, that controls everything you need to know about exposure on your camera. It's called the exposure triangle, okay? And so if you know, it's pretty easy. If you get we're going to go outside today, it's a little cloudy or something, so I'm probably going to set the camera at 400 to, I don't think 800, it's probably 400 to 640 outside. I would say, I don't know, I'm looking through tinted windows, it may be bright out there. But I set it, I kind of know in my head, okay, it's super bright, I'm going to shoot at 160 or 200. Okay, or if it's cloudy, I'm going to shoot at 400 to 800. Oh, it's getting dark, it's sunset, I'm going to shoot at 800 to 1250 or 1600. And these are just generalizations, and I might want to be, if I'm shooting a long exposure or other things, I'm going to change that, but I'm just talking about general photography. I have an idea of what I want my ISO to be or my ESO to be. And then from there, all I have to worry about is shutter speed and aperture. Okay? And shutter speed affects how, like when I take that picture of that fountain that I showed you, you can see every individual droplet. It stopped it because we shot fast enough that it stopped motion. Now if I did a longer exposure, all that water runs together and you see like beautiful waterfall pictures. So they're shot with longer exposures. So the water's actually moving through the frame, or if you've ever seen shots of cars at night with longer exposure and all you see is the headlights, right? With beautiful effect. Or better yet, Taj Mahal. Who's been to the Taj Mahal? Anybody here? Yeah? So my cousin shot an amazing picture of Taj Mahal, and I might have it in here. But there's nobody there, but if you've been to Taj Mahal, there's always somebody at the Taj Mahal during the day, right? I mean, it's one of the most iconic places on earth. So what people do is they stack all these neutral density filters on there, and they take really long exposures. So that way, if this gentleman's there at the Taj Mahal with his family and he's sitting there for 20 minutes, well, if I take a 2-hour exposure, he doesn't show up in my picture. Okay? So that's how they get those photos of the Taj Mahal or Grand Central Station or something. You want to shoot a picture of Grand Central Station with nobody in it, you better shoot a pretty long exposure. Okay? So that's kind of the fun stuff with shutter speed. And then aperture, now not only are you letting more light in, but it changes the depth of field on your photograph. Have you guys seen those photographs like of a model and like her eyes and all, and her front of her face is in focus, but you get to her ears, it starts getting a little soft and it starts blurring and everything behind her blurs and she just jumps off the page, okay? That's shallow depth of field. That's called bokeh, B-O-K-E-H. That soft focus, it comes naturally. When you shoot it at f2.8 and faster, bigger, if you will, the f1.4 especially, f2, that's why that big lens I showed you is so amazing. You shoot a portrait at f2 and you get the focus right on somebody's eyes, they just pop off the picture, okay, because everything goes out of focus behind them. All right, so that's the things you play with, and that's what you make your decisions with. But numbers 4, 5, and 6 will change the way you do it. White balance options. The easiest way to remember this is now you go to Home Depot and you buy bulbs, right? It used to be you could get soft white or daylight, right? But now they got these numbers on them, like 3,400, 4,000, 5,000, 5,600, right? 5,600 is typically daylight, 3,400 is tungsten, like our old incandescent bulbs. Okay, so that's understanding white balance. Now the good thing is most of the cameras have really good auto white balance. So when you get mixed settings like we're in right now, we got a little bit of daylight coming in, we got these terrible, god-awful fluorescents, and these are about 4,200, then you got 5,600 coming through the windows, but it's tinted, so it's maybe 5,000. So you're mixing this, so an auto white balance will adjust for that, or if you're colorblind like me, use auto white balance. It's the only auto setting I use in my camera. If you're Roxy, who has great color settings, she sits there and adjusts the white balance in the camera. That's called Kelvin. So that's what those numbers on the light bulbs at Home Depot and Lowe mean. That's the Kelvin, it's the temperature of the light. Focusing auto and manual. I use manual focus a lot when I'm shooting strobes, because when we were doing that the other night, we had a model jumping, and we were doing these Nike shots, and she's jumping off a trampoline like this. So your camera's not fast enough, especially in a low light. It's going to hunt what we call hunting focus. So what you do is you get the model or the person or whatever it is, and you have them stop and stand still, and you get a focus, and then you switch everything to manual. you know, on focus. That way it stays right there, and then they can do whatever they want, and you just go click, 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 click. Okay? It's just, because people get frustrated and they wonder why I can't get something in focus, and it's because, you know, the camera's hunting the focus. Okay? So that's why it's important to understand how to shoot manual focus. We talked about HDRs and dynamic range. We'll go into that more, and we talked about camera support. So these 10 things, by the end of the day, if you have any questions about any of these, please get with me. I'd like you to go away, and I'd like you to be able to play with these, you know, before the next class. Yes, George?
Better glass helps with the focusing too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that goes, yeah.
Wider glass, bigger glass.
Well, yes.
Yeah. So faster, bigger, more expensive lenses focus faster. Okay? You pretty much, I don't know, Ludwig, do you think you get what you pay for in photography for the most part?
For the most part.
For the most part. There's not a lot of, some of the new stuff, sometimes there's some overhyped, but I think there's such a honest community of people like yourself and Bob and all you guys that like call BS on people when they overhype something. So I think you pretty much get what you pay for in photography. But again, you don't always have to pay, like I say, the camera bodies. If you're starting out there, if you get that D3400, you could become a professional photographer with that. You know, and you know what some of my friends do? They take a Sharpie and they cover the numbers. Or they put a piece of black gaff tape over their camera. So people go, what kind of camera is that? Oh, it's a pretty special camera. You know, it's like, so, you know, stop judging me, right? And I'm a kid. The D3400 is a great camera. We've actually used them to shoot football games.
The real difference, in my opinion, between the less expensive cameras and the more expensive cameras is the ability to use them in low light.
Ah, okay.
I shoot a lot of sports, basketball and football, and I'm always shooting in low light. And the more expensive cameras will have more dynamic range at higher ISOs. They'll go to higher ISOs. Same thing with lenses. You want bigger lenses to get as much light as you can. But if you're going to go shooting out here like today, your iPhone will do a great job, you know, to the extent that you set it on manual and do your thing. But your iPhone, I can tell you, will not take pictures in a basketball gym at night of players. It just won't. It's when you get into extreme situations is when the more expensive gear really starts to come out. If you're shooting soccer with your kid during the day, you can shoot that with pretty much any of the bodies, any of the lenses, telephoto lenses. But once that thing goes to nighttime and you're shooting at 12,800 ISO instead of 100 or 400, that's where you have issues and you need more expensive stuff.
So I'm going to get into the workshop part of things. So I want you to take these away. And we're going to take a break here. Maybe take 20 or 30 minutes. I got a couple of folks here. Richie and Carly are both actors and models. Carly's starring in Peachtree Corners Kids. So if you want to take some pictures of people, if you like shooting people, they're here for you. They'll model for you. They'll take your direction. If you want to take flowers, if you want to like take pictures of the construction, take pictures of the sign, take pictures of all the trees that we're mourning out from, whatever you want to do. I want to take about 20 or 30 minutes and I want to apply the following concepts that we're going to talk about, and then we'll come back and talk about what your thought process was, okay? And then later today, if you guys want, have you guys been to the town green yet? Has everybody been there? Everybody? What?
I said without all the people.
Without all the people? Well, you should go tonight because the Journey tribute band's playing. It's going to be freaking amazing.
Should have 6,000 people there.